ask you about how you've improved the football of Conor McLean and what he's brought to your group, considering he had 3 or 4 years at Central Districts and couldn't even secure a post in that side regularly, and he's come in and become a serious part of your forward line. What has he brought to your group and what has he brought to the club?
He's a quality person, and when we identified him last year as a potential acquisition of our club, we could see there was a player there, and then we combined that with the character. It was a no-brainer. The irony was he was a teacher at Norwood Primary School playing at Centrals, and now he teaches at Craigmore and plays at Norwood, so it's quite odd. But he did it pre-season. If you come and watch him do a 2K, you'd probably say, far out, how's he going to play SANFL? But he's played every game. He had a couple of wobbly parts at the start of the year, but once he felt that he was believed in by his players, leaders and coaches, then he became a consistent player. And he's a good story in our program that he's been able to have like 30 odd games at Centrals over a period of time and be able to come and impose himself in the competition this year.
Jade, Serge said fresh is best as far as the North's preparation is concerned. You guys have done it the hard way. Your thoughts on your road through to the GF?
Yeah, as you asked me the other day, Andrew, it's all in the eye of the beholder, and I'm sure Serge will be able to justify his prep as we will with ours, but it's pretty well documented that we copped a fair smacking against Adelaide in finals number 1, and by acquiring the second chance through how we played during the year, we had the opportunity for redemption, and we needed to keep playing. And so it's worked for us to get some momentum. We found our form through about the second quarter at Glenelg in that second final, and that carried through to what was pretty high quality prelim final on the weekend. So we like to train hard. We've done that over the last 2 years to prep our players for this type of entry into the grand final if we're lucky enough to get that position. So it's not unfamiliar for us to be training the way we do and to play each week. And Nunn needed to play, Panos needed to play in the first final, and that's been advantageous for us.
And the matchup is intriguing with the defence versus the attack on both sides. How do you see that unfolding?
Yeah, I think what shouldn't be underestimated with North Adelaide, yeah, they can attack, but they defend pretty well. I've been watching them since practice matches at the start of the year, and I could sense a different feel. I rate Alex really highly as a leader and as a player, and he's got presence, and that back line of North Adelaide is pretty strong. So, and we're very open with how we go about our footy, and I'm pleased that it's identifiable to people, because we believe in it and we value it. So we've had good contests. I do recall round 3, 2021, a 90 odd point smacking from North Adelaide, and that's when the reality of this job really hit me about how big this competition is and how if you're off your game, then anyone can get hold of you. So we've had good battles. I think we know each other's games pretty well. And there's a healthy respect between the two clubs, and it lends itself to an unbelievable contest on Sunday.
Pre-season, you spoke about developing your next premiership team. You lost a lot of experienced players, obviously last year. Guys like Douglas, Puopolo, McKenzie, Shenton, heap of others. There's no way an outsider thought you would be in this year's grand final. You thought you'd develop a team that could compete, for 5 years over maybe in 2 or 3 years' time. How have you fast-tracked it?
The quality of our playing group, our coaching group, and the environment, which is led by James Fantasia and Paul Diulio. We're a stable club, we're aligned, we know what we represent and what we want to be, and by virtue of some senior players retiring last year and us unearthing some young players through the competition throughout last year, there was a lot of belief internally, and there was a lot of panic about whether we had a ruckman, and we well and truly knew we had one in Boyd, and he's improved and he's become a leader. Roker's improved his footy, Nunn's improved his footy, Hamilton's improved his footy. So I'm big on leadership, and the 7 that are nominated our club have been brilliant this year, and Hurd's not a nominated leader, but he's come along, and these guys show Lowe, they show Jarvis, show Seymour, who's been an experienced player, but a new way. Rantel comes in as an AFL player and he learns how to be a Norwood player. So I put that on the environment and also our leaders in the playing group.
If it's wet on Sunday, will that suit you, given the way you were able to sort of run over the Crows in the wet?
It was interesting because it wasn't forecast, and it's generally, when Serge talked to it as well, you like to prep to be able to just educate your players what's required, but organically I thought our players adjusted quite well. It was probably a 5-minute patch at the start. I thought we didn't nail it. I don't pick a team, or we as a coach, we don't pick a team based on conditions. We'll pick the team that we need to pick. We play a way that doesn't discriminate against ground size, conditions, width, length or anything like that, so it won't affect us.
Such a good tackling side, Jade. How have you been able to get everyone on the same page to buy into that mantra ever since you first arrived at the footy club?
Yeah, it's a way of going about it, Zach. I value that side of the game really strongly, and my charter when I first came to South Australia and coached Norwood was to develop deliver a vision that I thought was going to be sustainable to compete at this end of the year, the season, but it has to be investment from the playing group. And we train it from night one of pre-season, so that if you're a new player to our club, you understand what we do, and it might have the whites of some people's eyes going pretty strong early, then they go, why in November would you be doing this? But it's a way of behaving, a way of playing, and then habit comes out under pressure on game day. So it's a phase of our game. I'd like to think I felt last year we probably identified just as a pure, we tackle and we compete hard. I'd like to think we're a bit more diverse this year.
I know one of the first tasks you had when you were appointed as North Footy Club coach, you weren't able to get in here to South Australia initially, but you received a historical book of the footy club and immersed yourself in that. So no doubt you've got an understanding as to what, I guess, the weekend means to the footy club and the competition as a whole.
Yeah, I sure do, Zach, and it means a lot to me, history in football clubs. And I'm an outsider. I come to South Australia with no cred, no skin in the game, and it was important for me to align to Norwood as a club for our people to see that I care about the club and I've got to earn my stripes of being a Norwood person, and hopefully over the 2 years people would see that I'm emotionally invested. And I love this competition. I go to North Adelaide change rooms and you're in there and it's just surrounded by North Adelaide history. And Barry Robber and I got to play with his son Jonathan, and so I'm aware of Barry's impact in the competition, and I personally believe it's important to identify that side of it. And this competition is incredible. I appreciate what Darren said at the start, that it is unbelievable comp, and 10 clubs are all very heavily invested. We saw what Adelaide did in the final series. You can't get to that point of the year unless they're invested in this comp as well. So it's important I play my part in being part of this tradition and this culture in South Australia.
I know Serge alluded to it earlier when you were both assistants on the West End State team. It was a terrific camaraderie, and did you get that sort of feel about, I guess, off the field as well between the clubs? There's things shared, but obviously not too much, but there is a real camaraderie there.
I've been in this game a long time, Zach, and relationships mean a lot to me, and genuine, authentic ones. And that state program was fantastic, that I would be considered to be part of it, and to have 3 of our players involved, it was great. And Jacob and I become really good friends, and we can talk openly. Like, to be frank, we spoke after our first final against Adelaide, and the quality of the man, he called me and we just had a general chat about footy. And so we clearly are going to be, he's a fierce competitor, as we know. We'd like to think I'm not dissimilar to that, but we have respect for each other. It's club to club, but also personal. And that state game definitely provided. I think Alex, Ken Ramsey, Harrison Wigg, Mitch Harvey, who are all part of that squad as well. It was a really good part of the experience around that state game after round 6.
Jade, do you go the same 22 that beat Adelaide, or will there be a couple of guys that could come into the mix?
No, Pierce Emo will be considered. Pierce hurt his ankle a couple of weeks ago. He suffered against Adelaide in the first final, and he's got some parameters he needs to meet to be considered, and we'll strongly consider him. Mitch Wilkins is making a case coming off a long-term ankle injury that he suffered. Corey Stockdale had a pretty traumatic knee injury against Centrals. He's also pushing his case. So we're a fair way down the path where we're at selection, Andrew, but that'll be finalised. We'll use the fullness of the week, but I would like to think by Thursday night we're pretty clear on what our team will be.
Are you dreading the conversation you're going to have to go to someone if Seymour does come into the team?
As Serge said, when people sign up for coaching jobs, they sometimes see tenure, they see money, and they don't see the fine print of all the unsexy parts of the job case. And part of it's from a leadership perspective, but I'll be transparent and honest when the time's right. And there's a possibility someone could be disappointed this week, either who's in, who goes out, or who's trying to get in and won't get in. And that's part of this job. And part of my job is to respect the process for the coaching group and leaders as to what we think is the right team for this week.
So how significant is Matty Panos for your team? His experience and his talent. He only had 12 touches on the weekend, kicked a couple of goals, but his influence was huge.
I've been in footy a long time, Andrew, and been lucky enough to play a lot of players, good players, and coach a lot of them. Panos has equalled anyone I've coached for influence, the way he makes the players feel, our supporters feel, and the coaching group. And he's a very humble man. He's got belief in his ability, but he just got a capacity to do the right thing at the right time. And one of the things I've been really proud of, Andrew, is that Matt was the captain before I came here. One of the hard bits of this job was letting Matt know that he wouldn't be captain from my start of my time, and it wasn't anything to do with him. It was about the circumstances. He couldn't play. I wanted to go a new way, but the way he supported this man and Matty Nunn and helped thrive under Matty and support him rather than feel as though they're competing for a job, that's meant a lot to me.
And the comment on Rokar, he came off on and off there on the weekend. Is there any doubt that he would play?
No, he'll be playing, Case. He's been under duress at times over the last month, but that's what this stage of the year does. It's a marathon, and you need to be able to deal with some adversity, play it under some sufferance, and those who thrive in that mindset generally prosper and keep performing, and Nick's been able to keep performing. And there were 2 times in the weekend he looked pretty ginger, but I think we all saw him go back out and perform again.
What about being a first-time grand final coach? Did you change anything? You lean on anything?
I had a message from a great man yesterday whose initials are Neil Craig. And he's been one of the biggest influences in my life, and he was influential in the process going through becoming an applicant for the Melbourne job. And Neil had a big impact on me when I was working with him at Melbourne. So for him to still be part of my life is important, the way Serge spoke about Josh Carr. So I embrace it all. I love it. I love being here today. It's like to see our scarf in front of me and what it means. Like we have a press conference every week, and each week one of us just falls off. And but to be here now, and it feels great. We have to accept and embrace everything that comes with it, and then try and have some normality as well. So it's a bit of an artistry to try and get the mix right.
And Matty, you played in that 18 grand final side, second best in North that day behind Mitch Griggers, was outstanding, won the medal. What are your memories of that, and do you get any sort of thoughts of redemption this week against the same side?
Oh, very much like Alex. You know, we only had 2 or 3 players that have played from that game that are kind of out there on Sunday. So, you know, it's always in the back of your head. It'd be weird to say that it wasn't, but I think it's just going to be another game that we can rock up and play our way, because, yeah, you don't really think too much back into a game from 4 years ago. We've had a massive turnaround, a lot of new guys, a lot of new faces, so we've got a new style of playing as well, so very, very different to what back then.
You know, Skipper, do you talk to your playing group about that experience at all?
Yeah, definitely, and just what Twig touched on with Panos, you know, having him around, great experience in this time of year, because he's got that knowledge of, you know, how to deal with the stuff that comes with this week, and there's a lot of media and different things that happen, so just trying to go about it the normal way and play our way, and try not to let the distractions take effect.
What do you think is going to be the key, Matt? Where do you need to get the ascendancy over North Adelaide?
Well, like we touched on, you know, we're a very strong defensive team, and North Adelaide are obviously a very strong attacking team. So we've got parameters that we'll hopefully meet, and we think that if we can get in those early and get the game on our terms, then yeah, we should be able to get on top.
And what about their strengths? What do you identify as a strength of North Adelaide?
They're the best team of the comp this year. You know, they finished on top. I've got a lot of respect for the way they go about it, especially the way that Serge and Alex lead the team. You know, the way they play is this extremely attacking style of footy, extremely quick. So you've got to be on your A game. If you're not, they'll get on top of you pretty quick. So we've just got to watch that really quick transition, as they touched on, and make sure that we can contain that, because if we do, I think we'll be a good chance.
What makes North Adelaide's midfield so difficult to deal with?
Yeah, very similar to ours. I think it's very deep. They bat very deep, and they've obviously, you know, just had a McGarry medal winner. They're all very solid players as well. So having a big body mid is a big influence on a game. And yeah, had some good battles against them over the years. So I know exactly what we're coming up against, and it's going to be a great battle. I can't wait for it, because yeah, 2 good midfielders going up against each other is always good viewing for the crowd. And yeah, I've got a lot of respect for their guys in the midfield as well. They have a real crack, as do we. So yeah, it's going to be a great spectacle.
You know, Jade touched on it. How much better do you feel, and also Matty Panos, given the fact you went into the first final? Sorry, mate. Missing 6 to 8 weeks, and you had a couple of finals under your belt. How do you feel now about that?
Yeah, much better, Andrew. Obviously, the first week, you know, we didn't have a reserves game, unfortunately, and you've got to get back in the team somehow. So I was lucky that the injury wasn't pushing me into sort of this time frame of the year, and yeah, me, Nos, Rokar, Cotter, all sort of in the same bracket, where just had to get a game under your belt. And you know, as much as it was an unfortunate result, it's always beneficial for the body to get that match fitness, because you can't get it anywhere else other than a real game. So to get a few games under our belts now, and you know, myself, Nos, really feeling like we've got our form back has been a massive benefit for us.
Matt, the first time as Nelligans, Jarvis, Kennelys that are playing in their first grand final, have you got a message for those young guys about what to expect and the intensity and the early part of the game?
Yeah, very similar to before with myself and Nos and Declan having some experience in this. We just given some advice as to what we've been experiencing and what we have experienced. And other than that, just take it as it comes, because if you start preempting things and, you know, you go to bed at night and playing, you know, a play out in your head, you won't go to sleep and you won't enjoy the week. So it's a different week, you know, there's a lot of media and there's different stuff to enjoy. So I'm all about embracing it, letting our guys know that, you know, it's going to be fun leading up to it. The nerves are going to be there for both teams. So just embrace it and let's enjoy what comes.
If it is best attack versus best defence, which would you rather have?
The defence.
Sounding like a coach already.
All right, you all got enough, I think. We'll wrap it up and get some photos taken out there.
Yeah,
Won't
thank
go
you.
down to the island. All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's right. Actually, just down a bit more. Yeah, like that. Perfect. All right, here we go, gentlemen. That's it. 1, 2, 3. Let's do this.